Smart 24, driving business.
Hi there, how you doing? And welcome to this episode of Smart Tech. I'm Anju Bariji. Maybe before we get into the topic of discussion today, do you remember some time back when we did something in relation to the electronic documentation system? This is one of the ways of how the government can actually get rid of the paper-based way of keeping the records, and they can adapt the electronic style. As we speak right now, there are two ministries, actually about four, that are adapting this system. First is the Ministry of Public Service. We see the Ministry of ICT, there is Ministry of Trade, and there is also the UBRA, that is an agency, government-related agency that is also using this technology. Previously, we were with Kibaya. Elsania is the developer behind this innovation. Way back, that was last year in 2022, of course, when it was already in operation. But, of course, as you know, as time goes on, there is always functionality that is added over something. Now, this time around, we shall be looking at the upgrades as we proceed of the electronic documentation system, or what we know as the eDocs. Well, at this point in time, before we proceed, let's get to have a review of way back as we get to understand what was Elsania Kibaya's motivation to actually come up with the electronic documentation system, or what we know as the eDocs.
What inspired the eDocs project is the realization of the need to improve the way government does business. As records management professionals, we realize that one, records management processes are key for government to deliver its services, because for every transaction that government does, there has to be documentary evidence. So as a result of that requirement that is inherent within government operations, over time, government institutions accumulate a lot of records. And they have set aside what we call registries, central registries or central security registries. Some of them are called open registries. The difference between the two is the open registries have relatively open files or open information, whereas the security registries have classified information. Now, if you went in a registry at any one time, a government registry, you will see piles and piles of files of paper that evidences or provides evidence to what government has been doing. So for every transaction, every decision that is taken in government has to be backed up by documentary evidence. One, for legal purposes, two, for posterity, three, as good business practice. You need to keep records. So we realize that because these records accumulate over time, they run issues or risks or dangers of accessibility. The rate at which these documents are accessed determines the speed with which a certain decision will be taken. There are a number of decisions that are delayed because somebody who is supposed to take action on a certain matter does not have the requisite information as yet to support the decision that you're about to take. So amidst all that, we had already been consulting in the records and information management area for the last 15 years in this country and abroad. And then we realized a need for us to intervene and help government streamline the records management processes. And that's how we came up with this idea of creating an electronic document and records management system, whose major objective was to ease the processes of records capture, records storage, records retrieval, and disposition.
Uganda's information management landscape is experiencing a groundbreaking upgrade with the introduction of advanced electronic documents and records management systems. This enhancement signals a momentum departure from traditional paper-based systems, propelling organizations and institutions into a new era of streamlined information governance. EDRMs, the cornerstone of the digital transformation, is a sophisticated software crafted to capture, organize, store, and manage electronic documents and records with unprecedented efficiency. Tailored to cater for Uganda's diverse range of entities, including government bodies, private enterprises, and non-government organizations, EDRMs is poised to redefine how information is managed across all sectors.
Is first of all, a digitizing system. So with eDocs, compared to other systems, it documents everything, the whole workflow from the point of file preparation to the point where the action officers can access the record. Unlike other systems where a record will be scanned and just kept in a database, not used. But here, eDocs has made the workflow easy for action officers in different entities. So from the point of file preparation, when the records are prepared, scanned, to the point where they are uploaded, metadata is captured, and the action officers can take action within the entity without going through the manual process.
Okay. Maybe if I may ask, for the time you've started to use it, I want you to tell me, okay, I don't know how to bring it out, but I want to see what is the financial, how much do you think somebody can save when they use it? In terms of time and money?
Well, a lot of money is saved because we are not, printing is limited, photocopying is limited. So if in a week an entity was using maybe 5 cartons of rims, in a week they could use 1 or 2 rims just. And time, it's efficient because you can access it anywhere as long as you have the credentials to log in and the VPN link. If at all you're a member of an entity and you want to access it from home, there is a link that is provided for purposes of security. Not everyone is given the link.
Well, we'll be back from that brief insight regarding, of course, what we had the previous time we met with the innovator that was that's Kibaya. But now at this point in time, let's get into the new upgrades. What does the new system look like? What are the new upgrades that have been added onto the electronic documentation system? Like I told you, this is one of the ways you can save yourself from having a bulk of papers. And actually, not only the government, but also the private sector can engage into the system.
The last time we touched base, our development team has been quite busy trying to enhance the product, trying to add new features. At that time, we had the personnel file module still not onboarded, so we have now added on the management of personnel records. As I did indicate the other time, the product is aimed at managing an end-to-end flow around records and document management for government and private entities. Now, these documents are classified normally in either subject policy files, or they are personnel files. By personnel files, we mean your own record, your own file when you enter an organization. So all employees of government have personnel files. They have files that keep their documents related to their own, to themselves. So that module had not yet been developed. Now, by bringing that on board, the implication is that now eDocs is a one-stop center for all documents in government, from subject files or policy files to personnel files, because they are the two broad categories of files that you find in any government organization. Files related to the day-to-day business of that particular entity, and then files or records related to the personnel or the individuals that work in that particular entity. So for us, that was a big milestone, to consolidate all records and documents of government in one particular system.
At the forefront of the upgraded system's benefits is the seamless accessibility it offers. Bridging geographical gaps, EDRMs empowers authorized personnel to access crucial information remotely, fostering collaboration and enabling flexible work arrangements on a parallel scale. The upgrade is set to deliver heightened operation efficiency by automating manual tasks associated with document management. Cumbersome bureaucratic processes that have been long an organization challenge will undergo remarkable overhaul, ushering in swifter operations and reduced administrative burdens.
So the initial design that we had was focused on the subject files or the policy files. These are files that document the business transactions of an organization. What do you deal with? If you are a Minister of Trade, you are dealing with trade-related matters. If you're a Minister of ICT, you're dealing with ICT-related matters. If you're a Minister of Health, you're dealing with health-related matters. That is your core business. So in a records management perspective, we call those subject files or policy files. That module was ready. That's the first module that we developed. Then we added on the second module that manages now the personnel files. The personnel files are files that manage records of individuals, of the workers, the employees of an entity. So these could be confidential documents, these could be appraisal or performance related reports which relate to that particular individual. Now by adding that module on board, the implication is that now we have a one point of contact for all records in a particular organization, ranging from subject to personnel. Now that upgrade was quite major for us. The second upgrade that we've done is to integrate what we call loose memos. In a public sector setting, we have what we call the loose memos. I need a fuel request, I need to travel, I need guidance on this. So we write simple notes that need to be approved within the organization. Now we have also onboarded that particular module. So by adding those two modules now on board, we say eDocs is firmly an end-to-end product that is ready to be used by any government organization as well as any private company. Yes, please.
So we can go through that.
Yes.
The upgrade
Okay, now initially what we had in the registry module, this is the registry module. Under the registry module, if you come to the file category, under the file category we had the subject module. This particular module was already well developed. If you enter into the subject module, you get a list of all files that relate to the business transactions of an entity. So these files are categorized dynamically depending on the classification scheme of a particular entity or how you want to organize your own files. Then over and above this, we have now also onboarded what we call the personnel module. Now this is the module that manages all the personnel files of individuals working in any particular entity. What we have done going forward is now integrating this personnel module with all other government related systems. For example, we have what we call the human capital management system that is being rolled out across government. So eDocs is now integrating with the human capital management system to ensure that we have a seamless management of personnel files across board. eDocs will be the central repository of all the files, and then the human capital related processes will be managed by the human capital management system. The second module is the memos module. Now this module here, this is a module where you are able to create a new memo. Instead of getting a piece of paper and you write, you send to your boss, all you have to do is come to the system, put in the memo title, so maybe requisition for fuel, and then you put the content. This is to seek for your approval on this subject. Then you choose who receives this particular memo. Who is your supervisor? And then you say, okay, I'm sending it to a specific user, so you choose a specific user. If you are sending it to the entity, then you also choose when you are starting and when this memo is going to end, and then you add the memo. So immediately it brings now a list of users that you can choose from. So you choose and say, I need this memo to go to a particular individual. And then once you've chosen that particular individual, then you add the recipient, and then you have your memo. You can update, you can choose who your supervisor is, so who's going to approve this particular memo. So we think that these two modules are very critical in the process of records and document management processes in the government, because this provides you an end-to-end framework where you're managing, one, your subject files, two, you're managing your personnel files, three, you are managing your loose memos or the loose minutes that you act on a day-to-day. So an entity that will have this product will now have one point of focus where all your documents are consolidated. The last module that we have worked on and integrated is the integration of digitally born content. What do I mean by digitally born content?
Can I take a look at it as you...
Increasingly, you have documents that come in form of emails. Okay, so when you have emails coming in, then you manage all the emails that come into an organization into this module. So for example, Smart24 is applying for renewal of license. They send an email instead of bringing in hard copy. So the email lands in this particular module and the system is able to capture it and forward it into the workflow of all the other documents. So we now manage both the manual copies that come in through scanning and then those mails that come in through normal electronic mail. So those three modules that we have worked on, for us is a plus, and the product is good to go.
Well, when we talk about electronic documentation, it's quite a whole lot of a system, and when we talk about system, that means we have processes that are being involved in here. Now, what we're just about to observe is the entire process of how the documents are actually processed, sorted out, taken for scanning and for further review. To make sure that actually the information out there is preserved efficiently. Now, Erisani Akibai has been in position to actually come out, mobilize a team of people, about 50 staff that are working together with him to make sure that actually these documents are put proper till they reach the final destination, and also at the end of the day for rightful information use and also decision making at the same time.
Basically, we are preparing the files, getting them ready for scanning. We remove the step wires. If we find passport photos attached, remove the step wires and then we put glue. Then the books, we have to cut them into two so that they are able to scan page by page. And we separate each document using a separator. It's basically the codes. We use them to put them between each document so that when they go for scanning, the computer can easily tell that this is a different document from this one. Basically, that's it. And we have a systematic order of how we arrange the documents from the first one on top to the last one, because they involve different documents like the national IDs, the bylaws, registration forms, receipts. Yes.
So what challenge do you make for sorting out all this? What is the challenge?
It depends on the files, because there are different files from different districts and which were filed by different people. So we find that the filing process was kind of disorganized. At times you cannot tell what document it is. And at times people overstaple. Yes, so it's kind of challenging. You have to remove all the step wires and all that. Sometimes people put many copies of passport photos, yet one is just enough. So we have to glue all those. You find that someone put like 4, and you have to glue all of them back, and yet one is required. It's because you have to make sure that no document is lost. Yes.
To what extent do you think that eDocs is going to be solving this?
I think to a greater extent, because documents are easily retrieved rather than when they are in files. Because if it's in a file, you have to look where the file is, and then you open page by page looking for the document. But if it is in a system, you can easily type it in. You type in the name and the title of the exact document that you want and the file as well, so it is easy to retrieve than it being in a file and kept somewhere in a box.
A pivotal aspect of the EDRMs lies in its ability to track and audit trail. In an era that places a premium on transparency and accountability, EDRMs ensures a comprehensive record of every document alteration, access and modification, cementing a transparent history of actions and decisions. The upgraded system's robust search and retrieval capabilities are poised to be a game changer. Organizations navigating these diverse arrays of information categories will experience accelerated document discovery, significantly enhancing productivity in information retrieval. Let's review the scanning process and what proceeds thereafter as we observe what exactly happens here.
Using Kodak scanners and the application that runs the Kodak scanners is called Kodak Capture Pro. Now, taking you through the process, we are going to launch the application called Kodak Capture Pro from the desktop. We have launched it. Now here you go to File, where you find the job setup of the files you want to scan. Okay, that's the job setup. You select the job. After selecting the job, you create a badge, and this is our badge. So basically, a badge is a file. We are trying to create actually a badge called Chigumba Town Council. So this is the badge. Okay, then we say okay. Now we are starting to scan, and the scanning is actually conversion of physical records or files into digital or machine readable format. Okay, now we begin the scanning. So while scanning, at times there's also paper jam. Why they are jamming is because in the setup we commanded the scanner to detect the multi-feed. Multi-feed means not more than one paper should go in at the same time. It's also one way of controlling quality to ensure that every paper is scanned or every record is scanned. So when the jam happens, you simply open the scanner like this, you bring the paper back, and then you also confirm with the scanned copy already this side. As you can see, the number, this is 16, and then 17 is still this side. Then we continue the scan. So this application allows you to view as many pages as you may wish. You can actually see here the different icons here. You can choose to view like 8 pages at the same time, depending on what you really want. Then there are different functionalities here. The zooming in, zooming out. Now this is done. You stop the scanner, and this image is actually saved automatically. Just saved automatically. So now this file is done. You go to the next file. Well, because of time, let us go back and check what we have already scanned. Yeah. Just go back and check what we have. So there are different features here. This is our file. This is our file. can see the file here. Actually, these are still TIFF. They're in TIFF, but once they are processed, they are converted into PDF. TIFF, and then when we are outputting, it converts, the conversion takes place into, so once that scanning is complete, you click here, you can see this, that flag, you flag it off. Then automatically it is converted into PDF, portable document format. So basically that is what scanning is all about, conversion of physical records into electronic format or electronic readable format.
So after digitizing, that's scanning. After scanning, that is digitization, all the documents go to Scan Pro. So our main focus here is to go to the Scan Pro. We go and pick these documents there. Our main issue, our main task is we do quality control. Quality control is we make sure that the customer gets a record that is next or exactly like the physical, because we do quite like verification. We check, is the document physically what they scan, is it what is on the system? So that's what we do. We first do a physical check, then after doing a physical check, that's verification, then we come, we do quality control. It's like we change. It's like we remove the dog ears, we remove because as they scan, there are some records that are facing either way, vertical, horizontal. So we turn them so that somebody working on them will see a box, will look at a record that is physically. You don't need to turn as you are reading. You turn, this one is facing this side, you turn, no. You look at it, then mean that what we do here is like we are making sure that the customer gets a quality record. So here what we do cleaning. I'm cleaning now. I am removing the dog ears. I am rotating. So that's the first step. Then after we do indexing. Indexing, we are creating metadata, data after data, data of data. It's like we capture all these records are unique. So it's like everybody is unique from the other. Everybody has a name. Even these records should be separated. Indexing helps us in retrieval. It's like if somebody came and looking for a certain document, it will be just a flip of the hand. You just input that info you have, let us say the registration number, and that record is brought back. So somebody will be able to access it. So it helps us in retrieval. So after I've finished QCing, now I'm going to index. Indexing is capturing information about this record. Every record, I capture a record on information on every record. So now I'm capturing information on every record. So after capturing, we shall flag off. In a nutshell, after capturing, after finishing the entire box, entire file, entire box, then I flag off. Flagging off, it is like you have taken to another process. So it will be, because whenever they scan, it is in TIFF. Now when you're flagging off, it goes to PDF.
So this is the refiling process. It is the final stage when we are handling the physical files. This requires us to structure the document according to the original state. For example, if a file has different documents, there are definitely documents that are aligned together. Therefore, we ensure to use certain like staple wires, staples, punching machines to ensure that the document is back to its original form. We have to remove the separators and structure it according to the original state of the document. That is the first step, and then we also verify. That is, we count the number of files and the number of records and ensure that it is the same as the document, like the files and the records that the customer handed over to us. So we count them physically and also refer to our records and ensure that they are in alignment. Yes.
Well, at this point in time, Smart Tech is going to take a short break, and definitely when we return back, we shall be, of course, taking a look at how the entire system really works, as we shall be exploring based on what we covered last time, so that you can really take a look away from just the upgrades we've been observing today. But we need to understand, how does the system really work, so that as a small business enterprise out there, you can actually embrace the system. You never know, it can actually make quite a great difference in terms of records management.